So the focus this evening is on wholeness versus healing. And I want you to focus on wholeness really versus healing. Because in the focus on wholeness, healing will naturally occur. Throughout my own journey of healing, so to speak, and wellness up-leveling, I've had to make shifts of my own in terms of where my focus would be as it relates to my total well-being. And the more I focused on healing and just also certain aspects of wellness, what I noticed is that there would be a continuation of always having to heal something and practicing wellness really from the vantage point of the continuous healing, where when I started to make the shifts into focusing more on the different dimensions of wholeness, that's when more of the truer healing would take place. And when I think about it, or I thought about it over the years, is that even in the Bible, when people were seeking their ultimate healing, a lot of times the focus was on the wholeness. Think about the woman with the issue of blood and how she said, if I could just touch the hem of his garment, I know that I will be made whole. And so she was focusing on wholeness. And there's something about the wholeness vibration that seems to provide more clarity than it does when we are focused on healing or even general wellness. Because wholeness encompasses everything that pertains to your optimum living, optimum well-being. And so when we make wholeness more of the focus, then healing can ensue and the higher well-being agenda becomes more prominent in terms of the insight and wisdom that we receive and just really the overall experience. So I want to focus, this evening on being in that vibration of wholeness. There's different dimensions of wholeness, but if you can enter into the first gate of your wholeness sanctuary, there's going to be so much there for you to benefit from. The wisdom, the insight, the frequency, that comes from being more focused on the whole of what's true for you at this phase. There's something about the vibration of wholeness. Just sitting here, just thinking about that, just being in the energy of that knowingness just provides so much. That's why I felt guided to share about this, because so many people need to shift their focus into wholeness. The journey of wholeness within itself is so rich. When you think about it, we're talking about the total well-beingness, and certainly there are key areas that come up that seems like we need to focus on those areas because they do lead to greater wholeness. Going back to the woman with the issue of blood, she was hemorrhaging for about 12 years, spent all of her money on doctors and just things to get her well. But when she was aware of the Christ energy and that healing power, she knew that wholeness would ensue from that it wouldn't just be that her hemorrhaging would just stop. There would be something about her experience that will bring wholeness on so many different levels. And that's what we want to participate in during this time, is the different dimensions of wholeness, but at least entering into kind of that first gate of a trajectory so that you can know how to multidimensionalize, if you will, your experience for optimum living and total well-being. I'm going to ask that if you do have a journal, that you would get that during this time. Have some note-taking material, because you may find that during this process, a lot of insights come up and you want to write them down. And I always like to provide deep breathing in any process that I am going to be facilitating. So we're going to take some time to do some deep breathing as well. And I'm going to get present for revelation of an activation that could come forth to activate these different levels of wholeness, at least the first gate. So again, just giving a little bit of time for you to grab your journals or your note-taking material. Again, I'm going to find that to be helpful during this time. So I'm going to invite you to take about 3 nice deep breaths, please. Okay. So we're going to set a powerful intention for entering into this first gate of your wholeness sanctuary. Because there's some knowledge that is ready to be revealed. Your knowingness about your wholeness factor. The thing about it is that we have infinite intelligence within us, within our bodies, within our anatomy, that has a knowing about what is required at every phase, every moment for optimum living. Going back again to the woman with the issue of blood. She said that if I could just touch the hem of his garment, I know that I'll be made whole. So she had a knowing of even what to touch, how to access that wholeness through coming in contact with the Christ. She was very clear in intent that she didn't need a healing ceremony. She didn't even need him to command her for a certain act to perform or so, or for him to perform on her. She just knew, if I could get to this part on him, and maybe he doesn't even know that I would do this. She knew that she would be made whole. So there's a knowing that we have, and we want to enter into that level of knowledge to know. And that's why we don't want to focus so much on healing a particular area. We want to focus on wholeness for this phase. So that is our intention. So I want you to write that down. The powerful intention of wholeness. Wholeness for me now. Wholeness for me now. And what I love about this is that, as I mentioned, within just the wholeness framework, if you will, then provides the different levels of the healing, yes, and health and total well-being and wealth. It really encompasses everything. And I love that even within that story, that when the lady, or the woman rather, focused on wholeness, just think about what that was going to do for her if she really spent all of what she had. That means that that ailment in her life cost her. So it wasn't just that she needed to be healed in the specific area of no longer hemorrhaging. She was going to need to be restored financially as well, emotionally, physically, for sure, because that's a draining experience, and to go through that for so many years. So you just think about it, even an area of your life that seems to be out of alignment, there's dis-ease, that it's cost you more than just the scenario itself in terms of the misalignment. It's costing time, energy, and certainly financially. So there's a lot that's been spent. And that's why there's not just the thing of let me heal this area so that I'm well in this area, but then I'm still broken or out of alignment in so many other areas. That's why the wholeness factor is vitally important. So let's take a nice deep breath, please. Let's be present in your wholeness sanctuary, because new vows to wholeness will be made during this time. I can sense it, I can feel it. New commitment to this higher vantage point of optimum living and total well-being that covers the whole of your experience, the whole of you, which is so important. And before we get started with being in the receptive mode of this knowledge that will come through, I'm going to invite you to take a few more deep breaths and write down anything that comes to mind. And it can be in terms of what you've heard so far, ahas, things you're pondering. So take about 3 nice deep breaths, please. Okay, and just jot down whatever comes to mind, anything that entered into your awareness. And it doesn't matter what it is, just write it down. So something around the highest portal of potential of your truth during this time is what's coming up. So we want to be present with that, the potential, the highest potential. There's a portal of potential, and therein lies the possibilities, the infinite possibilities of what wholeness could look and feel like for you at this phase, what this would bring about in the grander scheme of things as it relates to significant change that is required in the present. Take a nice deep breath, please. So what do you know? What do you know about your wholeness? What do you know? And what will be healed as a result of your wholeness? What changes for you? There could be things that come up in your awareness that you're like, whoa, I wasn't aware that something else seemed to be out of alignment, or would be maybe leveling up, revealing to you areas of enhancement, areas of enrichment. So this is a time of higher enlightenment around specifics. You could possibly be called to work on a particular area that seems to be irrelevant to healing and wholeness. But if you think about it, if you are familiar with a lot of the Bible stories and with healing, sometimes there was non-linear approaches to how the healing or the wholeness would take place. So be very open to that as well. So what do you know now? Write that down. So we're entering into this gate, this wholeness sanctuary, this portal of higher potential and possibilities. And we're being present with the knowingness within that realm, if you will. And I want you to jot down anything that is coming up for you right now. Something that's coming up for me in terms of to communicate as we lead more into the activation is that you contain so much wisdom within you. Your entire body, your entire anatomy is full of source potential. The thing about it is that we are sourced to be in this experience. To me, there's a difference between being sourced and just existing. A lot of people love to leverage the term thriving, which is a great word. I love the vibration of being sourced and being resourced. It has such a higher vibration to it because it is exactly what it is. It is the source. It is the God creator energy And when more of our source cells can come alive and be activated, honestly, there's no way that we could be in any other dimension than wholeness, because we have the full activation of that source potential, and that is the portal of greater potential that we need to be present with during this time. So write that down. Source potential, being sourced. Sourced to be whole. Sourced to be whole. They're really one and the same. There is nothing lacking in source. And in wholeness, though it is dimensional, there's nothing lacking at any phase. Everything that you require is present, readily available for you to access, and to really live from that place, the place of wholeness. Living from these different dimensions of your wholeness sanctuary. Sanctuary, your most sacred and holy place. Holy. Being whole. Sourced to be whole. So let's take a deep breath, please. And so the guidance during this time is just to be really present in this knowingness of wholeness. Embracing this, embodying this, allowing and receiving and adjusting to this deeper level of knowingness. The adaptability factor is coming up right now, which means because it's not common to focus more of the energy on the wholeness versus the misalignment or disease. There's going to be some adaptation required for this to anchor more fully, to be activated within your anatomy. Let's take a deep breath, please. And be present in this awareness. And feel the cells within your anatomy already shifting, expanding with this new awareness. And adapting quickly to the changes that are underway. So what does that feel like for you right now? Write that down. If you're feeling that anatomy shift, or just a shift in your awareness, whatever is going on for you or coming up for you during this time, just make note of it. Just let it shorthand. You can always come back at another time and expound upon the feelings and what's coming up, but just give yourself initial prompts and triggers during this time, things that you can revisit. So now I'm going to invite you to place both your hands on your heart center. Take a deep breath, please. Okay, you can remove your hands from your heart center. And let's get present to receive the activation, higher level wisdom and insights. Since we've been in the chamber of the knowingness, and now we are entering into the chamber of embodiment. This is in the portal of the higher possibilities. This is where the source energy comes in at a higher level. And this is what creates that change within. It's almost like it goes through and it's scanning for not just areas of misalignment, it's scanning for higher truth. And when it's scanning for higher truth of your well-being, that's what expands. There we go, right there. That's it. The higher truth of why you're sourced to be here. The higher truth of source is what is desiring to expand. And that is what we will anchor and activate during this time. So let's be present, because this is the higher level of embodiment where you take on this new nature of operating as a whole being. See, healing will have you doing to get to a certain place. Wholeness contains the simplicity of source, because once you know, then you can embody, and then you can experience. And that's what the activation is here, is to bring the knowing and the embodiment together so that the experience can play out in fuller manifestation. And because wholeness is a continuum, there's something about the joy in that. It's continuing on the journey of wholeness versus on the journey of consistently healing and even practicing wellness. Wholeness just encompasses just your total well-being for everything. And that's what we want. The congruency and the cohesiveness of this continuation is just our way of beingness. Wholeness is the natural state of beingness. And that's what we want to not so much be restored to the understanding, but we need to come into a new awareness around that for this phase of our lives and journey. So again, I'm going to take a few moments to activate all of what has come through and all of what has come through for you. So let's be present. So activating this higher potential and possibilities of being sourced to be whole. We activate now the knowingness and the embodiment of the higher truth of potential from all the different dimensions in which wholeness has presented itself to us vibrationally and within our knowingness and unknowingness. Taking all of what has come up during this time that is for the highest and best good. And we anchor these core truths. We activate the higher levels of the wholeness sanctuary to reveal even more around that which has come up, the different dimensions and contexts to this level of the wholeness trajectory. Take a deep breath, please. Activating this at the source level of the cells, which then comes up to the soul level. And the heart level. Into the basic intelligence. And now encompassing the higher spiritual awareness and the fullness of optimum well-being for the unique individual phase of everyone present listening. Take a deep breath, please. So we activate this full potential, the higher capacity, the deeper capacity to be a vessel of wholeness, changing the interior and exterior, individually and collectively, within into the external world. Take a deep breath, please. So we've anchored and activated this truth. And now your call and charge during this time is to live from this place of being activated. Live from wholeness. Wholeness is your natural state of beingness. And that has not only been reset or restored, it is calibrated anew with a new definition for what wholeness means for you at this phase. And I'm going to invite you to re-listen to this several times so that more of that adaptability really anchors, so that there's more of the embodiment and also the expanded awareness around the truths that have come up and the knowingness. And then you certainly see how that which you have experienced levels itself up and takes you into a newer dimension and a grander context around the continuation of your wholeness journey. Take a deep breath, please. Receive this activation fully. You are whole, and we are complete. Thank you.